This is Supernatural Selection on DeviantBehaviorRadio.com, hosted by Kevin the Bastard. Welcome back to Supernatural Selection. I'm your host, Kevin the Bastard. With me, as always, is my co-host, Mike the Skeptic. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
Where am I? Why am I tied to this chair? Why is everything so dark? Do I have some kind of blindfold on?
It wasn't me.
All I know is I was sitting at my computer, and all of a sudden now you're talking to me like we're doing a podcast. What the fuck's going on?
So you're saying that we haven't actually been doing a podcast this entire time?
No, I'm saying we do one. It's just we weren't supposed to do one tonight. Then all of a sudden I got really sleepy, and now I'm tied to a chair with a blindfold on.
No comment.
You bastard.
I am a bastard. So,
can you at least take the blindfold off?
Yes, I can.
Well, that's better.
All right.
Wait, is this a hollowed out mountain?
This is the secret underground base of TGMY Studios.
Okay.
So, today we're going to be talking about a subject that is near and dear to my heart, which I think I say that every single episode, but we're going to be talking about UFOs.
Oh, that's what that is. I thought that was just a pile of garbage, but you've built your own UFO.
So,
in a hollowed out mountain.
Yes.
Is this supposed to be S2?
Yes.
Damn it.
Yeah. It's supposed to be, but it's actually S5. It's one louder.
That's like 3 louder.
Oh wait, it's S4. Area S4.
That's 2 louder.
Yes. Well, I mean, like, S4 is the actual... You know what? We're getting sidetracked here. So, Mike, I always ask my co-host, what do you know about the subject matter? And it's UFOs. You know the general idea of UFOs, right?
Yeah, that they're all swamp gas.
Yeah, yes.
Venus reflecting off swamp gas.
And reflective pelicans.
And pelicans? Really?
Oh, you never heard that one?
Probably. Oh, that was weird. I tune out a lot of the things you say.
Oh, that's fair. All right. So, UFOs are a very big topic to tackle,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of individual cases that are really fascinating, and we are going to eventually talk about some of those, and we're actually going to be talking about a tangentially related thing in the next episode with the Men in Black. But I thought, hey, let's just tackle the entire subject of UFOs right off the bat and just kind of get it out there,
Yeah.
Kind of cover the base before we build the house.
You mean the foundation?
Yeah, that thing. The foundation.
Okay.
Okay, so what do you know about the history of ufology, as it's called?
It was invented by Robert Stack. Wait, no, not Robert Stack. Who was that did the... I'm trying to remember the oldest UFO type show, or, not UFO, but Unsolved Mysteries type. I guess that is Robert Stack, isn't it?
In Search of?
Did Unsolved Mysteries? That was just all crime, wasn't it?
No, they did UFOs.
Okay, yeah, that's the oldest one I can think of then. Before everyone had cable television, that was crazy. When cable television was just basically movies and documentaries.
Yeah.
You got your crazy bullshit from late night network television.
This is true.
And syndicated television.
That's really true. And that is like where I learned a lot about UFOs in general.
So Robert Stack invented UFOs for television.
You know what? I kind of want to tell you you're right, but you're not. All right. So the earliest known sightings of what would eventually be called UFOs in the modern era. Now, we're not going to talk about ancient aliens or anything here. We're not going to go back and talk about like what look like UFOs in biblical paintings, which that's a whole other topic that I'm hesitant to get into.
Yeah, or in the like Aztec and India.
Yeah, like the little gold airplanes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that. The modern UFO phenomenon. Jinx, you owe me a Coke. So, it all started really in the 1800s with these bizarre sightings of phantom dirigibles, starting in California and slowly making their way east toward Chicago. And every now and again, the people would see these things and be like, just kind of freaked out because it's just a phantom airship up there. And occasionally, people would say they met the inhabitants of the ship, and sometimes they claim, it's this crazy ass inventor who's taking it to Chicago for the World's Fair, or the Chinese.
And they were taking it to the World's Fair too?
They never said. They'd say it was like Chinese people, and they'd like land when they needed water or something ridiculous like that.
Okay.
So this lasted for a while in the late 1800s.
Okay.
So these reports were turning up in newspapers. I realize that journalism in the 1800s is usually not to be trusted, but there are other sources for these things besides newspapers. So, people were seeing something.
Yeah.
All right. Now, it's just, airships. That's all it was. It wasn't like, they're from Mars or Venus. It was just rich white people or the Chinese, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And make of that what you will. The actual modern UFO phenomenon started on June 24th, 1947, with pilot Kenneth Arnold. Have you heard of this guy? Have we talked about him before, Mike, personally? No? All right, so June 24th, 1947, Kenneth Arnold claims he saw 9 reflective, unidentified discs passing Mount Rainier in Washington. He estimated they were moving at a speed of roughly 1,200 miles an hour. And this was the very first post-World War II sighting, which I guess we need to bring up the fact that during World War II there were the Foo Fighters. And no, I'm not talking about Dave Grohl. Okay, so the Foo Fighters, are you familiar with those? It was basically glowing orbs that would follow fighter jets around.
No, but I mean, I know the band name comes from a UFO term. That's about it.
Well, the Allied pilots would call them Foo Fighters because it's like, it's probably the Japanese, something the Japanese are working on. And the Germans were like, I guess they called them whatever German is for the fuck is that. And the Japanese were probably, I think the Japanese actually referred to them as yokai, which is, spirits. Anyway, after World War II, there was not a lot going on about this, as far as I know. You want to get into, conspiracy stuff, then yes, the Nazis were trying to build discs because the Greys came to them. We talked about this. Your brain melted. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
I punched my microphone. It was looking at me funny.
An angel just got its wings, apparently. So... Anyway, Arnold sees these 9 disc-shaped craft flying past Mount Rainier. Mm-hmm. And he said they weren't moving smoothly. They were flying like... You ever skipped a flat rock across the surface of a lake or a pond or something?
Yeah, well, I've seen it. I'm not very good at it.
Yeah, so. Me neither. I remember your dad did it. They were moving like that.
Okay.
And he said the general shape was like a saucer, but with a cut out of the back. So it was kind of like almost like a crescent moon shape, except, thicker. It was a smaller cut taken out. And this was the very first modern UFO sighting. There were no other craft in the area, of course. The skies were completely clear. There was a mild wind. And, this completely freaked him out. Because he'd never seen anything like it. There were no visible wings. There was no source of propulsion, no engines. It was just discs skipping through the air. 9 of them. Now, some of the explanations I have heard for this, my absolute favorite being reflective pelicans.
Well, you can't discount.
I
can't. Could be some kind of bird, but
yeah, I can't prove it's not pelicans, but we still have the whole no wings thing.
Oh yeah,
Now I am looking through trying to see how long this sighting actually lasted. I am not seeing how long it lasted. Wait. Nope, not seeing a thing. Anyway, so he landed and his report just launched the saucer craze. Everybody starts seeing them everywhere after that,
Yeah.
Not long after this, Roswell happened.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you don't know what Roswell is, I don't know why you're listening to the show, but the point is, Roswell was, something crashed at Roswell, and they say it was, the first news report that comes out of Roswell says, we've recovered a flying disc, and is being taken to an RAF airfield. And then another one comes out and says, whoops, sorry, air balloon.
So that was taken to a Royal Air Force.
Did I say RAF?
Yes.
Sorry, Army Air Force Base is
Yeah.
what I meant to say. So, anyway, that is the next big UFO incident. Now, I think 2 years afterwards, 1949, 1950, somewhere in there, huge UFO flap happens. And a flap is what they call recurring sightings in a particular area.
Mm-hmm.
And this particular area was, for the next several months, a hotbed, and it was Washington, D.C. And security was friggin' insane. They didn't know what the hell was going on. So this kind of becomes a big deal that, they're seeing these things around Washington. They're seeing both, metallic craft. They're seeing lights in the sky at night. It's crazy. And suddenly the government and the Air Force are like, we got to look into this. Not specifically because it could be aliens from outer space, but if we're going nuts over this, this will be a perfect time for the Russians to launch missiles at us because we're panicking over lights.
Yeah.
And that is what led to the founding of the Air Force's first UFO investigation, Project Blue Book.
Never heard of it.
There is a TV show, apparently, called Project Blue Book that I have not had a chance to watch yet, but I've heard great things about it. Now,
if you write down ladies' phone numbers in your little black book, what do you write down in your little blue book? Alien phone numbers?
Alien phone numbers and the number of times they have stuck their digits up your poo-poo hole.
How many times you've been probulated.
Exactly.
And the quality of the probulation you rate it on a scale. That way you know who to go back to.
Yeah, you want to make sure you're going to the best. Glunglock might not be the guy to go to, but
He's a little too forceful.
Plinthar is a gentle and caring lover.
Prober.
I don't know, man.
We don't know if they feel love, but we know they probe.
I wonder about that. So, all right, we've gotten up to the founding of Project Blue Book. Mike, give me questions, thoughts, opinions. Give me the skeptic point of view here.
So I'm hearing so far is that these unidentified flying objects change with the times. The reports do. At first, it's airships because that's what everyone's expecting. And then comes, people saying, well, they don't look like airplanes. And they're some sort of saucer. Because even before Roswell, there's talk of these flying saucers. So, therefore, when something crashes at Roswell, we'll say, oh, it's a flying saucer.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, is that the public information officer that gave the press release about the flying disc, well, he's a public information guy. How the fuck does he know anything? I mean, he's probably what he was told by the rancher.
Well, the rancher basically just said, rancher Mac Brazel, who owned the property that the ship came down on, rancher lived out in the middle of nowhere, no power, no running water, didn't even have an indoor toilet. This guy basically just comes into town, says, yep, gotta take my sheep around edge of the pastures, damn thing done crashed. And it's like 3 days before anybody comes out there, and then they tell him, hey, you might want to call the Air Force because this ain't an airplane. So that's really as much information as we have about what actually crashed. And the military came out to go see the thing, and they bring it back. And
so this stuff was laying there for at least a couple of weeks.
Few days, yeah.
No, it says,
something like so
it says notice material in early July. The report suggested a June date for the discovery of debris.
Okay, I take it you're looking at the info right now.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
It doesn't say anything about, he says he's a ranch foreman. So I don't know how.
Now, one of the problems with Roswell is there is so much information out there in the literature and just in the world at large. It's hard to get to the actual, solid events sometimes.
Yeah.
Because nobody has the same freaking story.
Yeah. Well, and also, like here it says in the... I'm just on Wikipedia because I don't know the fancy places you get your CD information from.
You don't want to know.
But it says, the Roswell incident occurred amid the flying saucer craze of 1947. Talk about the June 26th Kenneth Arnold story, what he labeled as flying saucers. Historians would later chronicle over 800 copycat sightings that reported after the Arnold story was published.
Yes.
So there's a bunch of shit flying around, and who knows? This is the public information officer.
He could have been.
He probably saw a thing. There's some mysterious debris. It's a flying saucer.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying it was a weather balloon because I still think that is complete bullshit.
I mean, if it was anything else that was flying, they would have known about it. I mean, if it was a manned vehicle.
I'm not saying it was a manned vehicle. Well, okay.
So
we're not getting into the whole Russian thing.
In the late 1940s, pretty much every aerial vehicle other than weather balloons were manned. Okay, it might not have even been a weather balloon. It could have been, this is the middle desert, and you know what? I don't know when Area 51 really started. Did that start during World War II?
I want to say yes, because I think they.
So
I think they worked on the Enola Gay there, didn't they?
I don't know. But here's the thing. Here's a thought. I have no one has evidence, obviously, for this stuff because it'd be classified. But maybe this was before satellites and all that. And before, high-flying spy planes. Maybe it was a modified weather balloon for aerial photography.
Here's another...
That they were testing the idea for, because think about it, you go take this to, Europe somewhere, on one side of Russia, wherever, I don't know if the jet stream goes west to east over there or not. Maybe you'd have to go launch it off the other coast, depending on where the jet stream over Russia goes. Launch this spy balloon into the jet stream, let it go over, take pictures, and recover it. That's just kind of a thought why it would be so secret.
Well, one of the theories,
and they just lost track of it,
is that it was correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't Project Skyhook the one where they had like the crash test dummies?
Crash test dummies?
They had some kind of a thing called Operation Skyhook where they're testing the effects of like fucking dropping dummies or something. But there was also Project Mogul. I believe Project Mogul was the one where they were using high-altitude balloons to try to detect nuclear detonations from Russia.
So...
And one of the theories is that Project Mogul, it could have been one of those balloons.
Yeah, and that's
totally understandable.
There's the CIA's Skyhook program, which was to basically airlift like spies and stuff. Is basically a dude on the ground releases a tethered balloon that goes up, several hundred feet, and a modified plane comes by with a device that captures the line and yoinks them off the ground.
Yeah, and I think that's what they were talking about with the test dummies was it was supposed to pull them up.
Yeah.
And the claim that any bodies that were found were crash test dummies from Skyhook. And I personally don't really buy that.
I wouldn't think there would be a bunch of them, maybe one. You might find one crash dummy, but...
Yeah, but here's the thing. Roswell, it's so freaking confusing, and Roswell wouldn't even be a thing today if it hadn't been for, like, some people that really, really wanted to make some money off of it.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm not really getting into the whole Roswell thing right now. It's enough to say that something crashed there, fed by the whole UFO thing. It is definitely a footnote that needs to be brought up in the history of UFOs, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Project Blue Book gets started to basically investigate this stuff.
To basically make the public think it's being investigated.
Well, no, they did investigate it.
Okay,
They
to shut up a few people in the Air Force who wanted to investigate it.
Okay, that's fair. Now, the original idea was that...
I think this is kind of like, the original X-Files.
This is quote-unquote optics.
Yeah.
So the real idea, though, was they get these scientists. The original idea was we get these scientists, they take a look at it, and they either debunk them or, investigate the strange ones. Well, the original idea shifted to just debunk this shit. So they get this scientist named J. Allen Hynek. And he's kind of a hero of mine because he goes in as skeptic. J. Allen Hynek is the inventor of the idea that what you saw was a row of igniting swamp gas and not a UFO or misidentified the planet Venus. Which, here's the thing. I get it. Like, seriously, a lot of stuff that people see in the sky that they think is a UFO. To this day, do you know how many calls police get saying there's a UFO and it's the moon?
No, but...
A lot. A fucking lot, Mike.
Yeah.
That there are people, like, do you know, UFO reports actually went through the roof when these digital billboards first popped up on the scene.
Yeah.
Because it's a bright thing. It's like, I seen him. So, it's just... Okay, anyway, they get Hynek to head this thing up, and they're like, debunk everything. He's like, I will do it, but I am a scientist. I will do this scientifically. I'm not just going to say, you're crazy. I will figure this out. So Hynek goes about his business. And the conclusion of Project Blue Book is that the vast majority of UFOs are, in fact, people misunderstanding what they're seeing. But there's like 13 or 14% that are beyond rational explanation. Somewhere in that range. You know, the point is there's enough of a percentage that is not easily explained that needs to be researched.
Yeah.
And the Air Force goes, what's that? You figured it out. It's all bullshit? Great. Shut this thing down. We're done. And Hynek is pissed. So Hynek, nuclear physicist at J. Allen Hynek, becomes a believer. Because of that small percentage that he can't explain. So he launches into becoming a ufologist. One of the most credible ufologists at the time. Because he was a skeptic and turned believer. And I don't know that he ever really came to a solid conclusion because he is a scientist and is like, there's not enough fucking data for this. So he always just gathered data, published books with that data. Now, during all this, we need to talk about one of my favorite parts of UFO lore in the early days, which is contactees. Mike, I've talked to you about the Space Brothers before, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So 1950s people and 40s, you know, during this whole freaking period, people were like, I got contacted by the men from the stars. I know why the UFOs are here. They're here to save us from nuclear war and pollution and all kinds of things. Because I met Klaxar from Venus. And he took me up on his ship, and he took me to Venus, and I got to play with his little doggy. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
They seriously would claim that they met these creatures from the ship, and they're all beautiful white humans. You know? With blonde hair. Just the what, like Renaissance painting Jesus types, you know?
Yeah.
Just coming down here and being like, we bring you love. Come, I'll show you my... It's you know what? This sounds like a pervert.
Yes.
Hey, little girl. I got a dog in the back of my van. I want to see him. It's creepy.
Yeah.
So this goes on for a while. And then, like, other people were saying, oh, I'm being contacted. They can't travel this distance. So I'm being psychically contacted by people from Uranus.
Uranus.
From Uranus, yes. I'm hearing things from Uranus. And let me tell you, I don't like what I'm hearing. But they keep saying the same thing every time. Everybody that gets talked to by somebody from space during the 1950s became, as Henry Zabrowski said, it turns them groovy and stupid.
Yeah.
They turn into space hippies.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you think that is? Like, do you think this is like a human religious thing?
I mean, could be.
Or like, here's the thing, and this is along the lines of that. You notice around the 60s with the first UFO abduction incident, not like, come join us on our galactic ride. We have the Betty and Barney Hill abduction case, which I want to do a whole episode on them. But, they get picked up, and here's the funny thing. The first time they see these creatures, you know about the Betty and Barney Hill case, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Interracial couple living up in New England. They take a trip to Canada, and then they're on their way back, and they see this UFO, and they have an instance of missing time where they're like hours further down the road with no recollection of what happened. So they go into what's it called, hypnotic regression.
Yeah.
And in the initial memories, these guys are well, they're just like Gestapo, and they've got like big pointy noses and like blue, and they got like pointy ears, so it's like weird Nazi space elves. But when they go under for what happened once they're taken on the ship, it's like whatever screen was showing them that is gone, and they see what you classify as your typical grays,
Yeah.
And they do invasive medical procedures. Like, they stick a needle in Betty's stomach and stir it around. It's like, what are you doing? It's a pregnancy test. Well, it's soup now.
No, you wouldn't survive that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
no. And also, like, if there's a baby in there, you fucking killed that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, that's kind of the point where the contactee movement ends in popular culture and in the experiences, and people start, when they get abducted, seeing these grays, and they start getting but we always say probed, and that is a thing, but it's always like medical experiment. There's always like they'll scrape skin off the back of the neck or the bottom of the foot with like this weird stylus thing, and they like stick needles in your head, and there's always like, yes, there's milking. They will milk a dude in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Like, one of my favorite descriptions is they have Whitley Strieber up on this fucking vacuum tube shoved up his ass, and another vacuum tube stuck to his dick, like bucking like a bronco up and down, and he's just screaming, and one of the grays is standing there going, what can we do to make you stop screaming?
And it's meow.
Yes, that's exactly what they have to do. Sorry, we have a very talky cat in the room, so anyway, yeah, I just love the mental image of God damn it, Gretel. I've got this mental image of just Barney Hill just screaming and bucking, being sucked off. And the thing is, it didn't work, so they take the stuff off. And you know what the Greys did? Gave him a hand job. Good God, this man's so annoying. I'm just going to give him a J.O.
Just handy. Just give him a handy.
Give him a handy. BRB got to charge his crystals.
So, I don't know. So, my thoughts on the whole abduction phenomenon. I don't know if I got it from somewhere or what.
This is
got it from somewhere.
Is this the whole
but it makes sense to me.
Was it sleep paralysis and
basically early/first memories?
Oh yeah, no, I've been talking about this for a long time. You may have got this from me, or we may have co-planted it in each other's heads.
because it just, all the things
didn't start until modern hospital births.
Yeah, and it all sounds very adjacent to what a newborn goes through.
Oh, yeah.
Like the stomach thing, the navel thing, that's all, they're tie the umbilical, and, a lot of kids, especially back then, I think nowadays they do it like an underarm test, but they would do an anal thermometer. Mm-hmm. And, I'm assuming they would probably do weird scraping things, and who knows what else. I mean, I don't have a kid. I don't know exactly what they do, or even what they did in the 50s through 80s.
Yeah, no idea.
And a lot of kids also, a lot of males back then were circumcised too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, that would explain the genital touching and weird things.
And then you got the first thing you see is some dude with his hair covered and his mouth and nose covered.
All
and
you can really see is a pair of eyes, because they're the lower face and the upper head is obscured by, very pale. Probably in the old days it would have been white.
Yeah, sure. No, yeah, absolutely. Like, you've seen surgeons' pictures from World War II.
Yeah.
They wear, like, the white apron and the white...
a white face mask and a white head covering.
Yeah.
I don't know when they switched to, more that kind of blue and green colors, but...
I think they found that was more psychologically calming.
I think it also doesn't show blood as well, because when blood hits it, it just kind of turns really dark. Whereas when it hits white, it's just super red.
Yeah, that's really true. So, now here's the difference, man. Like, you're talking about that is the origin of the abduction experience. I totally agree, but I'm also thinking that this is whatever the phenomenon is, pulling that memory out as a screen. Like, give me the benefit of the doubt that if there is something happening and it is a partial psychic experience, it's pulling it out of your brain, or you're pulling it out of your brain and interpreting it the only way you know how.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously whatever event happened that started, for this individual, not talking for everybody, but whatever, take an individual abduction experience, whatever triggered that could be, and they believe it's happening, even if it is like, just an 18-wheeler on the highway shining its lights in their face.
And they happen to be having like some kind of a mini seizure or something.
Yeah, or just, they get so freaking scared that it, just bloop, there's this, thing. Or, as you said, sleep paralysis could be, maybe they were having a dream. Maybe they were,
There's no telling.
The mind is a weird and poorly understood thing.
Oh, yeah. Poorly used as well, but, yeah, look at this show. But I think it's really interesting to me because, I don't know, I feel like the entire UFO phenomenon, which has become so much more sinister in the human consciousness as we've gone on, I think it also reflects like a certain underlying zeitgeist, Yeah. Like it's as we as a people, like, we don't trust the government anymore.
Well,
like, we don't trust a lot of things. We become the public, what's the term I'm looking for here? You get what I'm saying, though, right? Like, as we as a culture become more sinister, the abduction experiences become more sinister.
Well, I think that's mostly up to the individual. Maybe on average they do, but like you said, some people see nothing but, peace and love, because that's probably, if not what they outwardly show, what they, want deep down.
Yeah. Well, like, okay, there was this big mass abduction at the Coronado Hotel at a UFO conference. I know. I know how that sounds. And the bad thing is, you know who else was in the hotel at the time? Fucking Bill Clinton. Post-election. He is in the White House. He is there with the Secret Service. He was not abducted. But like, something like 12 people all got abducted out of this hotel at a UFO conference. Which I'm like, that is real fucking on the nose.
Yeah.
But like, a lot of them saw each other during the abduction experience and corroborated their stories. And some of them were like having a Whitley Strieber moment. You know, they're like up on the mechanical bull with a thing up their butt. And some of them were like, pointing at the dude, and the aliens are like, no, you don't get that. We like you. That's not happening to you. You know, you've been here before. We're just going to ask you some questions and tickle your foot.
So.
Oh, I love when you do that. Okay, what you got?
You can't tell me that a UFO conference isn't going to have an abduction-themed mixer where everybody gets blackout drunk and has weird sex things happen. That is not
I am telling you
to not happen.
That if there is one place I don't expect a single motherfucker to get laid, it's a fucking UFO convention. They didn't get
laid. No. That's not what I said.
Okay. Sorry.
I think they all got really rip-roaring drunk and probulated each other.
Oh, God. So you think they got drunk and simulated an abduction experience while drunk?
I'm more than likely. It's more likely than, the aliens deciding, hey, we're all going to abduct you motherfuckers. Oh, and there's the, new president of the United States. We're just going to ignore him.
Well, here's the thing, man. If I'm an alien and I'm abducting people in this hotel and the president happens to be there, the last thing I'm going to do is abduct the president. I'm not going to... I mean, come on, dude. That's going to, like...
Well, okay, not necessarily abduct it, but you'd think they would, the enhanced security would have noticed something.
Unless this was a big middle finger to Bill Clinton going, look what we can do. Right under your nose. And he's like, oh man, that's scary as hell.
Because when the president's in town, it's not just the Secret Service at security, right? There's also local police and sheriff's details as well.
And what the fuck kind of bizarre ass incident gets Bill Clinton, the president of the United States, staying at a hotel during a UFO conference? That's poor planning on everybody's part.
Hey man, I think I want to see some of them UFO people.
Hey, you think them bitches gonna show me the boobs? I'm sorry. I anything with Bill Clinton, automatically he's looking for an angle to get laid in my head.
Well, have you seen Hillary?
Oh, I'm not going there. Actually, I'm going there. Yes, I have, and I'm going to shut up. So,
what you got next?
What have I got next? You remember when we talked about the military alien industrial complex?
Yeah.
That's a real good example of them getting cynical. Like, look at the whole situation. I mean, like, it can't just be a mystery. And they've always done this. I guess I say it's new. It's not new. There have always been people with theories about why the aliens are here, be it world peace or butt stuff. I mean, and here's the other thing about the whole, like, I'm getting aggravated. Every time I bring up this kind of conspiracy stuff, I get pissed off because, okay, if it's the eggs and the sperm thing, if they're abducting us to collect our genetics and they're making hybrids, okay, great. I guess that makes sense, but can you just, take the fuck over?
That doesn't even make sense to me, because, so, we're pretty decent at our, we're getting better and better, our genetic engineering compared to 30 years ago, whole different ballpark, right?
Right, absolutely.
So, how long do you think it would take us to get interstellar travel?
Us?
Yeah, just throw out a number.
Oh, Jesus. God, I don't know.
A couple hundred years?
Yeah, I was actually going to say 250, 300 years.
What's our genetic engineering going to look like in 300 years?
Oh, my God. Maybe we're the Greys.
Why the flip would we need to go, milk some dude on Alpha Centauri for his spoo?
Nah.
Especially since the spoo really doesn't matter. I mean, if they wanted genetic material, they could get the guy's hairbrush. We could do that right now.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
I mean,
now, there's one theory that says these guys are extra-dimensional and not extraterrestrial, and that they're making hybrids that can exist in our reality to do their bidding.
But even then, you don't need to, catch someone and, stick a probe up their ass to make them jizz. You could just, even if you need, live cells, you would get so much better data and material from just, cutting a mole off of them or something.
Sure.
Because sperm and eggs are just half of the genes.
Yeah.
They're half.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any aptitude with genetic engineering at all, you get much better info from full cells.
I've actually read a few people whose opinions are, while these guys are propulsion systems or whatever they're using to get here is highly advanced, they suck at genetic engineering.
Bullshit.
I know. This is just...
Because that's such basic chemistry. If you can make a machine that can span light years, that requires such a mastery of the fundamentals of not just Newtonian physics, but quantum field theory and shit like that. Mm-hmm. That, I mean, it's still stuff that is just numbers and calculations for us right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Albuquerque drive, and physicists keep going back and forth trying to refine some form of faster than light travel.
Yeah,
but it's still even our best calculations are saying, even though we don't need negative mass anymore for the most recent calculations, you still need to convert a moon-sized object from matter directly into energy.
Yeah,
to create.
With no loss of. I understand.
So, I mean, we're talking. Do you know the type civilizations?
I know
where the type 3, I think, is
there's nacho cheese type and
the
bacon type.
But yeah, so it's I think type 1 is being able to use all the energy resources of a planet or something and all that. I mean, this is, a whole order of magnitude more than we can do.
Right.
So unless...
what are we on the type
I think
scale?
We're under a type 1. We're lower than a type 1.
Yeah. Type Doi or something?
The Kardashev scale, if I'm pronouncing that right. Type 1, technological level of a civilization that is close to the level presently attained on Earth, with energy consumption at 4 to 10 to the 19th energy a second. So 4 times 10 to the 12 watts. Defined as one that can harness all the energy that falls on a planet from the parent star. So basically, we're below a Type 1 because we'd have to be able to harness
all the energy that comes from the sun to the Earth, basically absorb all that shit for our use.
That's about four orders of magnitude higher than the amount presently attained on Earth.
Oh, wow. Okay.
A Type 2 civilization is capable of harnessing the energy radiated from its own star. So basically all the energy from the sun collected and used, like a Dyson sphere.
Or like a orbital satellite array.
Well, I mean, it'd have to basically completely encompass the sun to capture all the energy.
A Dyson sphere. Yeah. Okay. Not the fans now. We're not talking about the fans. Yeah. We're talking about a Dyson sphere. So, yeah.
And a Type 3 is a civilization in possession of energy at the scale of its own galaxy.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So we're talking about probably above Type 1, but not quite. I mean, Type 2 is kind of... I get it's not... You have to have domain over the energy of your star, but it's to have the equivalent of that. So, you're talking through,
Could you conceivably, would that same civilization be able to go to, the next star over and build a Dyson sphere and use that energy?
Or be able to produce, such good fusion that, all your ships are using, basically a mini star as their reactor core.
Oh, the Time Lords.
And enough ships to basically say that's about a sun's worth of fusion going on, being harnessed. So we're talking, so if UFOs are extraterrestrial from another solar system.
Don't believe, but let's keep going with
they would have to be above a Type 1, more than likely. Just because of the energy involved.
Somewhere between Type 1 and Type 2.
Yeah. Okay. Diabetes.
Yes. God damn it. I am the key to interstellar travel, Mike.
Because, you cannot, no matter how much you want to believe. I believe there has to be fundamental physics solutions we haven't come up with yet, obviously.
Otherwise, to interstellar travel.
Well, to anything. So faster than light travel is kind of a problem, because when you go faster than the speed of light in some frames, it's almost time travel.
Yeah, no, that's the whole time dilation thing.
Well, not just time dilation, but also, so there's the Superman paradox. I don't remember. I once wrapped my head around it. I kid you not. I sat there and thought about it and reread it, and for about 5 seconds I understood it, and I got it, and it made my brain hurt.
Mike, you realize this is how religion works.
It kind of hurt my brain a little bit. I went a little cross-eyed, and I'm not exaggerating either. I did kind of see double, but then I couldn't get it
your brain couldn't hold on to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's basically saying that Superman flying at the speed of light, I believe, is able to beat causality. So the basic boil down of it is you can either have causality or faster than light travel. You can't have both
in the same universe.
Yes, or the same, the same reality, in the same set of physics.
So it's kind of like the one cool part of Zack Snyder's Justice League cut, where the Justice League, spoiler warning if you haven't seen it, where the Justice League completely fucking fails and is obliterated, but the Flash runs toward them so fast that time reverses, and he stops it from happening because he defeated causality.
Yeah.
Okay. So, before we move on to my other theory about it, or my other feelings about aliens,
Yeah.
still on the idea that they're from another planet. All right, so you said the thing about how genetics, it'd be the dumbest thing in the world if they came all this way and just milked us, right?
Yeah.
And scraped us.
For various reasons, yes.
All right.
Reasons.
Imagine, if you will, a gray cocktail party. And all the caviar are human eggs. And there's a mixed drink made from sperm. What if they're just bigger assholes than us?
So what you're saying is it's the alien equivalent of caviar?
Exactly. It is just delicacy.
And I'm assuming it's probably its status is from that it's from another sentient race.
Yes.
So, just cow jizz won't cut it.
Yeah, no, gotta be people, man. Now, maybe if they're eating meat, that's what the cattle mutilations are. It's like, yes, I would like a glass of manseed and some human caviar, and can I have a slice of the cow's anus? Yes, I love the taste of cored out butthole. So, I mean, that's just, if they're from space, which I'm not saying they are. I don't believe that for a second.
Who says that interdimensional aliens couldn't, like a good butthole steak with a side of washed down with a fresh glass of jism?
That's fair. But you're on to my next thing, which is the whole interdimensional thing. There is a fantastic book by Jacques Vallée called Passport to Mangonia.
Yeah.
And what it is he looks at the modern abduction experience. So he's able to draw direct parallels from the modern abduction experience all the way back through mythic human experience with encounters with the Fae, which will typically involve being taken into a strange realm and having sex with beautiful other creatures. And there's always a time dilation. There's all these strange things that sort of line up.
Yeah.
Basically meaning that what we're experiencing from the abduction experience is just the modern brain interpreting the same phenomenon that's been happening for millennia. And that experiences with the Fae and the paranormal and what have you, it's the same creatures. We don't know what they are. We don't know where they come from. We just know that the way we see them has changed as our culture has evolved, starting as, like gods taking people up and having their spawn, like the demigods, and like all the way up through the fairies, leprechauns, all that stuff. It's all, what if it's all the same creatures? It's all the same phenomenon. Just our interpretation of it evolving as our experience as a culture and a species evolves.
Well, I mean, the human brain can only pull things that it has references to.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, look at the Romans and the color blue.
Oh God, that is a fantastic example. They didn't have blue.
I mean, they saw blue. They didn't have a word for it and didn't really register to them because they didn't have many actual blue things. I mean, if you look at nature, there's not much that's really blue. A lot of it's really different shades of purple. Yeah,
like, okay, we say the sky's blue, but like, how many times is the sky really blue?
I mean, it's really blue a lot. It's blue today.
Yeah, but it also goes gray or white or red and orange at sunset or sunrise. The sky's just the sky. It's an ever-transmuting thing. And when you look in the ancient texts, they refer to the ocean as being wine-colored.
Well, I think a lot of that is just a limitation on the
Language?
language, and
Yeah.
because I mean, what are you going to describe the ocean other than ocean colored?
And also it's water. And if you take the ocean and you put it up, and you in a pitcher and you pour it out, it's clear.
Yeah.
So it's not really a color.
I think also that might also just be because it's very, if you look at the ocean, it's very rare that it's actually really blue, especially in more,
the
lived in
Mediterranean
areas in Mediterranean. You don't get that until you're, parts of the Caribbean and, the really blue water.
Yeah, that's true. Because it's like
there's a lot of rivers. They're,
Silt.
silty and
Yeah, and like the Mississippi Gulf Coast, the water
all brackish
is
and
not blue.
nah.
It is slate gray, and when you get close enough to see it, it's turd colored.
Usually, like I said, it's, major continents, it's not very blue.
No.
You have to get into, tropical islands that don't have a lot of water runoff to disturb the, well, I guess you can't really say the natural color of the ocean, but, the clear, unfettered blue ocean water.
Yeah. But this is basically...
I've never seen it.
Yeah. Same here. Not in person. I've seen photos.
Oh, yeah, of course. Everyone's seen photos, but yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's a real good example. We can only interpret what we have experience of.
What we have a language for. And by language, I can also mean, concepts and constructs. And
So, people... Something's happening. It's been happening for a long time. It is still happening. And we just don't have a context for what it is, so our brain is filling it in.
Yeah.
And possibly filling, they're helping it to fill in.
Yeah.
They're wearing our memories as a disguise. Like, here's a really good example. All right. And this is one of my favorite arguments. Like, everybody always points to this as proof that Betty and Barney Hill didn't have anything happen. All right. So they have their abduction experience. And a lot of people point out that once you're on the ship, the aliens they saw look a lot like these creatures they saw 2 weeks prior on The Outer Limits. All right? Okay, great. But what if whatever they experienced pulled that out? Like, that's how they could interpret it. And that description fit into the popular culture.
Okay.
So now we all see grays because that's what we expect to see. That's what we can understand them as. You don't sound convinced.
Oh, no. Not at all. I let you run your course so I can say this.
Yeah.
You know what else pulls out memories and things, causes you to see things that aren't there? Freaking mental problems.
Oh, yeah. Well, sure. If you want to get technical.
And I don't have to say you have to be suffering from full-blown schizophrenia or anything, but, the human mind is prone to hallucinations. I mean, heck,
Sure.
consciousness is probably just a hallucination.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like... No, I totally get that because, like, you remember when I first got on my antidepressants?
Yeah.
And do you remember when I told you, they said, hallucinations might happen. I was like, okay, whatever. I've never had a hallucination. It's bullshit. And then I started seeing these black slugs and worms.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Like, just the corner of my vision moving around.
Yeah.
I was like, if they hadn't told me I was going to have hallucinations, I would be losing my shit right now.
Cat was trying to eat something it shouldn't.
Yeah, that sounded like a ginger. Okay. But no, I get that. I understand. I can see that, yes, that is completely a rational explanation. And as always, I am going to stand by my convictions that we're experiencing something from beyond.
Why?
I don't know.
I mean, why would they? I mean, if you have this interdimensional technology, why?
Well, what if it's not technology? What if it's a natural thing and we interpret it as technology? I'm not saying the whole sufficiently advanced...
Then it should have been something that we could, measure. I mean, an event like that, I mean, even if it's just like slight bleed over, I mean, surely someone would have, caught something.
I guess.
Some form of a record.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean...
But as far as my reason for believing, it just makes me happy. And, it's not hurting anybody.
I'm not questioning your...
Oh,
why
sure.
you would.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I guess I could say I fully believe in Occam's razor, that the simplest explanation is usually true.
Oh, yeah. And that simplest explanation is...
people crazy.
People be cray-cray. So, that brings us to the end of the topic. Mike, I believe we received something in the hopper.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about it at the beginning of the episode, but let's talk about it now. What have we got in the hopper?
Oh, I got to bring up my email because I forgot.
Oh, no. I'm really excited about this. Remember, if you'd like for us to read anything on the air, we're reading at least the first 5 on the show. You can find the form to submit information at Supernatural Selection Pod. That's the address, isn't it? Hang on.
Yeah, form-submission at super... wait, no, it's the actual...
Yeah, supernaturalselectionpod.com. Can you believe I couldn't remember my own URL? I need to get a shorter one.
Yeah.
I'm seriously thinking about getting supernatpod.horse.
So we could look at your horse.
Look at my horse is amazing. But yeah, if you go to supernaturalselectionpod.com and click contact, there is a form. You can fill that out. Click send. It will go to our email, and we will read you on the show. And a good example of what someone has sent in is going to be read by Mike here in a second.
So this is from Ghost Forge Hassasock.
It's a Dobby reference from Harry Potter.
Oh.
Yeah, Ghost Forge has a sock. He is free.
Yes, I see. I didn't get that. I was going to ask you. What was that? So it says, "Hi guys, big fan. My question is, suppose someone came to you and said, quote, 'We have reason to believe aliens are using time travel to sabotage the development of humanity. We have our own time machine now. Where should we go to try and stop them?' So what would our answers be?" So the way I understand this question is that
what point in history
would we go to that looks like aliens are fucking with it?
Yes.
That's obviously taken into consideration. Our current timeline is the fucked with timeline.
Yeah, obviously.
So they fucked around. Now they're going to find out.
Absolutely.
So I've been thinking about this a little bit. So it's obviously going to be pivotal points in history that an event happened and it took a turn, but it would have to be a turn that hampered us. Because you could look at, like, while the start of World War I was a very simple event, just one assassination. I mean, admittedly, there was pre-existing, conditions that allowed that to be a, what's the term I'm looking for? Like a spark,
catalyst.
a catalyst. Yeah, like, the dry tinder and just one little spark. There were other pre-existing conditions, but still, that you could argue that we are better off today because of the world wars. Just in a technology standpoint, a lot of people died. A lot of people died.
A lot of bad things
I can't
happened.
think we would be as far along if the world wars never happened.
As bad as they were, we needed them to happen so we would be where we are.
Yeah, we would not be. I think we would probably be like at least 50 years behind. Like,
shit, dude, I'm gonna go with 100.
I wouldn't say quite 100, but yeah, I mean, and can't have World War II without World War I because it was just basically World War 1.5.
World War II started because World War I didn't solve any of the underlying problems.
Yeah.
And the terms of surrender, when they signed the terms of surrender for World War I, the folks doing it were like, all you're doing is setting up a worse conflict down the road.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can't, in short, you can't say World War.
The World Wars had to happen. Yeah.
So,
they're not tampering.
Yeah. You could kind of say maybe, well, no, because, the death of Hitler, they were already on the decline. He was going to be captured if he didn't kill himself, so there's nothing there. Probably have to go back further.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's a lot of events in human history where we lost a lot of progress and knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the Middle East, there was...
I know where you're going with this.
I'm trying to remember my exact point there. Can't remember it now. Like, I know Constantinople was a big hub of, learning.
Burn that bastard to the ground.
Yeah. The Library of Alexandria.
Yeah, that would probably be...
Was, a big store, lost a lot. The freaking Dark Ages,
Those didn't happen.
Oh, yeah.
No, those didn't. We've been over this, goddammit.
No. But if they did happen, it would have been a good thing to hold back humanity because, it brought the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
Which were the Dark Ages, not because, they used torches, but because it was a point of negative enlightenment.
Yeah. Well, and, okay, so you're thinking the loss of knowledge from the Library of Alexandria and Constantinople.
Oh, those are, like I said, the
stuff
a
like
genetically engineered virus to give the bubonic plague to fleas.
Here's the thing, all right?
Because you have to have a light touch. You can't just...
I know that, but the thing is, if you watch Connections, James Burke brings up a fantastic point about the Black Death.
Yeah.
All these motherfuckers died, and every time somebody died, somebody else inherited their stuff. To the point that the survivors were incredibly rich.
Well, yeah.
And the survivors could be like, oh, you want me to work the land? Well, you're going to have to pay now if you still want the stuff done. So it allowed for the beginnings of the middle class. The merchant class really started here. So it led to the event, the creation of the printing press because, good God, everybody wanted books all of a sudden. So I feel like the Black Death had to happen.
Well, I mean, but we don't know what the other timeline would have had.
Oh, you're saying it could have been much more advanced by now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's fair. All right. I'm willing to give that to you. I'm going to say the invention of the Baconator.
Come on, you don't have anything real?
The problem is I look at a lot of history and I'm like, here's the thing. If I had to go with something, you took my idea with the Library of Alexandria. That's definitely one. Or if you want to go back to my crazy shit, I'm going to say 10,000 BC, the destruction of whatever society we had at that point. They got wiped out and we have no memory of it.
Yeah. Or the aliens are the ones that crashed the asteroid because the dinosaurs became a rival, basically.
I saw that episode of Voyager. I definitely remember that episode going, well, at least nobody turned into fucking salamanders.
Yeah, well, are you done?
I'm done.
So that's all pretty well and good, but we know the real event that the aliens went back and used to try to destroy us.
What's that?
The 2016 election.
Oh, shit. You're right. They came close.
Now, who knows? They may have still yet.
They may have won already, and we just don't know. Yeah. Well, look, Ghost Forge. It's Ghost Forge, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There's two people I know. There's Ghost Forge and Ghost. It gets a little confusing sometimes.
So you only know two people, and they're both named Ghost.
Yep. I am living in hell.
What's their favorite Patrick Swayze movie?
Roadhouse.
Oh, yeah. All good.
It's always Roadhouse, man. All right. Well, Ghost Forge, thank you for that. If anyone else would like to send in questions, again, head to supernaturalselectionpod.com, click on the contact button, fill out the form, and send it in. We will read it on the air like we have just done. You can also contact Mike.
As long as it's not a novel.
Yeah.
Brief and to the point is.
And to the point that can spur some discussion.
Yeah.
You can also contact Mike at skepticalmike@supernaturalselectionpod.com. You can hit us up on Twitter at SupernatPod. We have a Facebook page. If you're into that kind of thing, which of course, just look for Supernatural Selection on Facebook. What am I missing, Mike?
A Baconator.
I am missing a Baconator, even if that is the plan of the aliens. So, that being said, we're going to go ahead and shut her down. So, next week, we're going to be talking about the Men in Black with David. And, Mike, I'd love for you to be on if you can.
I'll try.
All right.
Depends on when.
Yep. Well, thank you again for being on the show. And, guys, we will see you next time. So, until then, stay frosty.
Goodbye.
Supernatural Selection has been a production of DeviantBehaviorRadio.com. You can find it and more shows broadcast weekly at DeviantBehaviorRadio.com. Our theme music is Screensaver by Kevin MacLeod. It is used through Creative Commons license, and more of his music can be found at incompetech.filmmusic.io.